So I read this morning that Elon Musk has labeled the Anti-Defamation League a hate group. And you can see it here. Now remember folks, this is the same Elon Musk that did this.
Captain, thank you.
Right. Now, I never call it the Nazi salute because that would be, how do I say this? That would be historically inaccurate to do so. It's the Roman salute. And you must understand the Roman part is extremely, extremely important. You can look it up. You can type in Nazi salute, aka Roman salute, and you'll get all the information you want. So Elon Musk has branded the Anti-Defamation League, a legal group founded to combat anti-Semitism, as a hate group. Now, it was founded in the early 1900s, like 1913, as it says. The tech billionaire made comments on his social media platform X while also railing against the ADL's classification of Turning Point USA as extremist. The ADL was founded in 1913 and, according to its website, aims to stop the defamation of the Jewish people and to secure justice and fair treatment to all. The group is well known for opposing pro-Nazi groups during the 1930s and for campaigning for civil rights legislation in the 1960s. However, on X, Elon Musk claimed that the ADL hates Christians, therefore it is a hate group. His post, I want you to listen carefully, was in response to a right-wing influencer's claim that the ADL considers Christianity a hateful terrorist extremist belief. Now, and he posts this: Christian identity. Now, for those of you who are ignorant, you might think that this is talking about your average Christian. You know, like even black folks. No, that's not what the ADL was pointing to. So you see right here, Christian identity, and you see right here, I pulled up on Wikipedia Christian identity. What do you suppose Wikipedia is going to have? Okay. Come on. Christian identity. This article is about the white supremacy ideology for people who identify as Christian. Christian identity, also known as identity Christianity, is an interpretation of Christianity which advocates the beliefs that only Celtic and Germanic peoples. Okay, so you see the spread there. And Germanic peoples such as Anglo-Saxon Nordic nations or the Aryan race and kindred peoples are the descendants of the ancient Israelites and therefore God's chosen people. But those of you who've been listening to my YouTube channel long enough, you know that the name of the Creator is not God, is not Gott, is not Gottaz, it is not Deus, and it is not Dios. It's Yehovah. Pronounced exactly like that. Now, for those of you who want to argue with me, I have posted countless videos proving my point. They claim that those people are the descendants of the ancient Israelites and therefore God's chosen people. It is a racial interpretation of Christianity, and it is not an organized religion, nor is affiliated with specific Christian denominations. It has emerged from British Israelism in the 1920s and developed during the 1940s through the 70s. Today is practiced by independent individuals, independent congregations, and some prison gangs. No single document expresses the Christian identity belief system, and some beliefs may vary by group. However, all identity adherents believe that Adam and his offspring were exclusively white. Now, I guess they figure that the second Adam must have been white too, which is the reason why they paint a picture of a blue-eyed, nearly blonde-haired in some cases, or in Spain and Portugal, they will paint a picture of them looking like the Spain and the Portuguese, etc., etc., to try to make it look like their national whatever. The second Adam is a Jew. The first Adam probably looked much like the second Adam. So, as far as being white is concerned, their claim is highly doubtful. They also believe in the two-house theology, which makes a distinction between the tribe of Yehuda and the lost 10 tribes, that ultimately European people represented the lost 10 tribes. Now, as I pointed out many, many times, the Jews already know where the Europeans come from. The Celts are Gauls, and they're traced to the Galatians. They traveled from Asia Minor into mainland Europe. Some stayed in France, and then they, about 1,000 or so years ago, traveled to Ireland and places like that, and Scotland. Paul called the Galatians Gentiles. They are not of the lost tribes of Israel. The Jews know that the Germanic tribes are of Ashkenaz, and the Gauls, of course, are of Riphath, sons of Japheth. That is well known among the Jewish scribes. Now you will say, well, they don't have any authority, they don't know. Well, Paul pointed out something, and I will go to it here. All I got to do is type in much in every way. Romans 3 and verse 2. So he's talking to Romans. We'll get Strong's Concordance up here if this thing pulls up. Now, what advantage then has the Jew, or what profit is of the circumcision? His answer, a lot. Much, according to a way. In other words, much in every way. In the beginning, Indeed, because they were entrusted the oracles of not God, but Jehovah, which means the table of nations. To them were also entrusted the table of nations, as written in the book of Chronicles, as written in Genesis, as written in Exodus, and so on and so forth. So by default, the Jews are right when it comes to identifying the nations. Generally speaking. Now, we continue. This racialist view advocates racial segregation and opposes interracial marriage. Now, I don't agree with racial intermarriage either. I don't think that Jews should be marrying outside of their race, because the Jewish race is indeed a race, in spite of what the very same people who are pushing for segregation claim. Other common held beliefs are that usury and banking systems are controlled by Jews. Here we go. Leading to opposition to the Federal Reserve System and the use of fiat currency, believing it to be a part of the beast system. As if the Jews are the beast system. The beast system is of the Gentiles. And I'll get to that in just a minute. Christian identity eschatology is millennialist. And this millennialism, this is what Turning Point USA believes in. Okay? Christian identity is characterized as racist, anti-Semitic, and white supremacist by the Anti-Defamation League and the Southern Poverty Law Center. Now, the Southern Poverty Law Center is works in opposition against the Anti-Defamation League. They're a whole different, they support BLM when Anti-Defamation League was dead set against BLM, but of course the white supremacy movement or the Christian identity movement tried to lump the two together. Yes, Charlie Kirk did. Okay, so, and it goes into how British Israelism started, and I'm not going to go through all that. But so I ask, why did the ADL label Turning Point USA as extremists? And Google AI points out far-right speakers. The ADL highlights that Turning Point USA and its affiliate events, such as the annual America Fest, provide a platform for various far-right figures and conspiracy theorists to speak and gain visibility. And I'll show you just a few in just a minute here. And they should have known. They wouldn't have known yet about Candace Owens back in 2000, before 2019, but they absolutely did know about Nick Fuentes. White nationalists at events. TPUSA events have attracted and provided a platform for known white nationalists and other extremists, despite the organization's claim to reject white supremacist ideology. Candace Owens, the ADL, noted that Candace Owens, a former TPUSA communications director, had made controversial and widely criticized comments appearing to defend Adolf Hitler in 2019, though she later walked back to statements. Owens has since continued to espouse anti-Semitic and anti-Israel rhetoric. So she tried to walk it back, but she proved to everyone what she was inwardly hiding. And then Nick Fuentes in 2019, a Turning Point USA chapter invited white supremacist Nick Fuentes to speak at an event. And that should tell you everything you need to know. And in response to controversies, TPUSA has occasionally issued condemnations or removed individuals following public backlash over racist or extremist behavior. However, the ADL points to a pattern of ongoing scandals and permissive environments that repeatedly attracts and platforms extremist individuals and ideology. And yes, they do. And they only pull it back when there's backlash. The Nick Fuentes thing was just absolutely unacceptable. So, I'm not sure I even need this. And the absurdity of the Nazis claiming to be Aryans, which are actually Iranians, is ridiculous. I mean, right here in 1936, the Hitler cabinet declared Iranians to be immune to the Nuremberg laws as they were considered to be pure Aryans. Well, the Iranians do not look like Germans. They are of an entirely different race. But it just goes to show you the absurdity, the lack of intelligence among these type of people. Now, before I go in, well, I'm going to pull this over here. So what I want to do is, I want to point out to you that over the last 10 years, I pointed out Daniel 2, the 10 toes of Daniel 2. Daniel 2 would be about the last days of Europe. Okay? And so Daniel points out to the king Nebuchadnezzar, this is a dream, and we will tell you the interpretation thereof. It doesn't say we, it just says, I will tell you the interpretation thereof before the king. You, O king, are a king of kings. A law of heaven has given you kingdom and power and strength and glory. And wherever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven that has given you into your hand, and has made you ruler over all. You are this head of gold on this statue that he had up, that he had in his vision. So the Babylonian Empire, which was actually seated in Syria, he has given to you and made you them ruler over all. You are this head of gold, and after you shall rise another kingdom inferior to you. So what was the kingdom that came after Nebuchadnezzar that was inferior to him? It was the Persian Empire. And then a third, a kingdom of brass, which came after the Persian Empire. It was the Grecian Empire led by Alexander the Great. And Greece is the cradle of Western civilization. And Russians, by the way, still use the Greek Cyrillic alphabet. So did the Ukrainians, which shall bear rule over the earth. And the fourth kingdom, which, pray tell, what kingdom came after the Grecian kingdom? The Roman Empire swallowed up Greece. We all know this. Anyone who has been reading history books, you know this. The fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron shatters into pieces and shatters in front of everybody. As iron crushes and shatters, these shall it break in pieces and shatter. Probably shattering Greece, shattering Persia, and shattering Babylon. And whereas you saw the feet and the toes, part of potter's clay and part iron, the kingdom shall be divided. Let's look at the word. Divided. Okay? Split. Half and half resonates through Scripture, describing any entity lacking inner cohesion. Lacking inner cohesion. The imagery depicts a kingdom of residual strength, yet inherent weakness because of internal division. Now, I have mentioned extensively something that is quoted here. Next. And it shall be in it the strength of iron, for as much as you saw the iron mixed. And it's interesting that the word is Arab. Mixed with clay. Pottered. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. To be fragile, figuratively speaking. Brittle in the NASB translation. Okay? Liable to break. All right. And where you saw the iron mixed with miry clay to become to pass the seed of men. So, even though it doesn't say shall mingle themselves with the seed of men and implies it, so that's the reason why King James Version put it there, which is actually correct. Because the iron and miry clay is the seed of men. They shall not cleave to one another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. Now, the Europeans were the iron people. Interestingly enough, the invasion of Europe that has happened over the course of the last 20 years were primarily, but not exclusively, but primarily of North Africa, and also plenty of sub-Saharan Africa. But there's only 2 countries in the entirety of Africa that have enough iron to mine, and they're tiny. I can't remember which ones they are, but you can look it up. I remember, not going to say where I saw this happen, but a fellow from Kenya saw this giant wood stove, but it was a wood cook stove. I mean a giant one. Used. You could barely get it on a lift gate on a box truck. It could barely be lifted with it. He was going to transport it, and he's living in the United States, going to transport it all the way to Kenya to his mother. And I asked him, What? Why are you going to do that? That makes absolutely no sense, financially speaking. He says, you got to understand, there's no iron in Kenya. This is what he told me. There's nothing but dirt, clay, and trees. And you see the analogy here. Now it says, in the days of these kings shall the ale of heaven. Well, it should read, and if you are studious enough, you'll understand that in the last days of these kings, these kingdoms, the last days, which would mean when the iron mixing with clay, they are not cleaving to one another. When you take a look at Europe today, this is exactly what you see. I mean, in the past 10 years, it'd be riots, just riots and riots and riots, because the people, the invaders that the leaders of Europe invited in are not getting along with the Romans, with the Europeans. So in the days of these kings shall the ale of Shemaim set up a kingdom which shall not be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to another people. What do you mean by that? The kingdom was going to go back to the Jews. It won't be left to another people. Now I got an itch in my eye. But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. Now, I need to point out something to you. Let's see if I have anything here. Yeah, you can listen. You see all of this right here. Head of gold, Babylon, chest and arms of silver, Medo-Persian Empire, belly and thighs of brass, Greece, legs of iron, Roman Empire. This is common knowledge, folks, is what I'm trying to tell you. And the feet and 10 toes of iron and clay, a final dividing phase of the Roman Empire. Okay? Now, let me show you what the 10 toes. There are variations of this, but this is correct. Alemanni, Germany. The Anglo-Saxons, United Kingdom. The Burgundians, Switzerland. The Franks, France. The Lombards, Italy. Sueve is Portugal. The Visigoths is Spain. And the three kingdoms that were uprooted, and they were uprooted by the man who calls himself Pope. You can read all about it. The Heruli, the Ostrogoths, and the Vandals. This is absolutely 100% correct. And the crazy thing is, the Christians know this, or they used to. Where did this come from? In Christian prophetic interpretation. And yet now and then you have the Christian, what do they call themselves? Christian identity people. Now they want to claim that they are the real Israelites. You can't be Israelites if you are of the 10 toes of Daniel 2. Not possible. This is the beast. This is the 10 toes of the beast. These are Gentiles. They are not Israelites. But you see, just like the false Messiah that the Christians love, who claims to be a messenger of light, so do the Christians themselves claim to be a messenger of light. They also now claim to be the lost tribes of Israel. Well, they're not. And I have proof. It is in the book of Exodus. All right. A Syrian. I'm not sure if I had to, probably have to type in Aramean. All right. Ready to die was my ready to die. I'll find it. Well, I'll Google it. Ready to perish. A Syrian. This is in Deuteronomy 26, verse 5. All right? So this is where we're going to go to. Strong's Concordance, as soon as it pulls up. It shall be, when you're coming to the land where not God, but Jehovah, Elohim, gives you for an inheritance and possesses it, and dwell in it. You shall take of the first of the fruit of the earth, which you shall bring of your land, that Jehovah Elohim brings you, and you shall place it in a basket, and you shall go to the place which Jehovah Elohim shall choose to place his name therein, which was Jerusalem. And you shall go to the Kohen in those days, and say unto him, I profess this day unto Jehovah Elohim that I am come into the country which Jehovah swore unto our Ab to give to us, and the Kohen shall take the basket out of your hand and set it before the altar of Jehovah Elohim, and you shall speak and say before Jehovah Elohim, an Aramean, a Syrian, ready to perish, was my Ab, and he went down to Egypt and sojourned there for a few, and became a great nation, mighty and populous. You must have Syrian descent. If you cannot, if you are of the lost 10 tribes of Israel, you must have Syrian blood in your DNA. I do. I have a lot of Syrian blood. But my genealogical trail goes right to the Jews. I did a video about it. A whole video. For those of you who question whether or not I have Jewish ancestry, So, see, I have proof. You Christians have no proof. You just dream up something. You make up something like rabbits having eggs. You made all that up. You made up the whole thing about Santa Claus coming down a chimney when it's not possible. You made that up. So you make things up. And you declare it to be true. You know, just kind of like some black folks like to go around and claim they're the original Egyptians. They are the original Greeks. They are the original Israelites. They're the original this and they are the original that. But if they would listen to themselves, they would realize that they're talking delusional nonsense, just like you Christian white folks do. So what I want to do is, before I sign off here, I want to point out this particular video from the Enforcer. It is about 2.5 hours long. It's worth a listen because they are pointing out that it is insane, which it is, for the Trump administration to bring all the generals in one place early this week, unless, of course, something absolutely crazy, insane is about to happen. They also point to a timeline that China is moving their timeline to invade Taiwan to as early as late 2026. There's a whole lot of information in this particular video. If those of you who need some motivation to help you prepare for what's coming, this would be a good video to listen to. There's a lot in here. A lot. And I urge you to listen to it. Now, what I want to point out is a lot of things can happen. You could literally have the war end without nuclear weapons being exchanged. Okay? There's like 10,000 different ways this could end up. But there's one thing you need to understand. The thing that causes the great nuclear exchange is the hand of Jehovah himself. And just in case you are not aware or do not know this, we'll go ahead and go to Zechariah 14. And then we'll go to Revelation 9. So here he describes what appears to be a nuclear event. But it looks like it's literally saying that he's going to cause it. Yes, he is. How is he going to cause it? We'll find out here shortly. Verse 12, and this shall be the plague or stroke or slaughter or pestilence wherewith Jehovah will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet. And initially you will think that that would be something coming straight out from the hand of Jehovah. Watch this. And their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth, and in that day, because in that day, that a great tumult, confusion, disquietness from Jehovah will lay hold, will be among them, and every one will be against the hand of his neighbor, and his hand shall rise up against the hand of his neighbor. That sounds like world war. So he's going to cause something that sounds like world war. Now we go to 1 Thessalonians 5:3. Paul says a little bit about this. I'm going to get all the information to prove my point here that I can get here. 1 Thessalonians 5. Strong's Concordance, verse 3. But the time and season, brethren, you have no need that I write to you, for you yourselves know perfectly that the day of Jehovah, not the Lord, comes as a thief in the night, while they are saying peace and safety. So, it could very well be that this war, this Ukrainian war, could actually turn into an even greater conventional war, and then they come up with some kind of a peace agreement. It's very possible, is what I'm saying. But then something breaks that peace. What is it? What is it? It is Revelation 9. The fifth messenger sounded his shofar, not a trumpet. Now, I told you several videos ago that the word here, aster, actually means a single or multiples. Right here. Stars. Plural. Multiple. Now, one, a star as strewn over the sky. But is it one? Or is it multiples? Do you know? Yes, you do. That answer you will find in Revelation 6, I do believe. You see, I have pointed out that the seals and the shofar sounds run sort of concurrently. And I beheld when he opened up the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake. The sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. And here is this word again. Aster. Is it singular or is it plural? Well, we look here. Fell into the earth, even as a fig tree casts her untimely figs when she is shaken with a mighty wind. Now we see how this singular star turns into a lot of them. And heaven departed as a scroll, when it was rolled together, and every mountain and coastland was moved out of their places, and the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every freeman hid themselves in the den of the rocks of the mountains, and said unto the mountains and the rocks, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sits on the throne, from the wrath of the Lamb, for great is the day of his wrath is come, and who is able to stand? So we go then to here. I saw. Is it singular or is it multiples? It's obviously multiples. It's the same event, fall from the sky into the earth. And not to him, but to it. It says to give a key of the abyssos. Now, the abyssos, the abyssal sea in the Mediterranean Sea, the abyssal zone. Zone, Med Sea. Whereabouts is it going to fall? Okay. Somewhere in here. Well, I know there's two. I know there's two in the Mediterranean Sea. So you can see right here, AI says that the Mediterranean Sea has basins deep enough to qualify as abyssal. Okay. All right. And the abyssal zones, I don't know why it's not. But this is talking about the ocean, folks. All right, so I mean, it's talking about the Mediterranean Sea and not the ocean. I will point to you one of the abyssal zones. Okay, it is in the. Wow, what just happened? It's in right here, the Ionian Sea area, right there, between Greece and Italy. That's where one of them is, okay? So think about that when you read this. And there arose a smoke out of the water, and as a smoke of a great furnace. Of course, if you're going to have a whole bunch of meteors falling down into the Mediterranean Sea, especially in the abyssal zone, and the sun and the air were darkened by the reason of the smoke of the well, the water, and there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth. Now, we've looked at this before, and this appears to be helicoptered because they're not locusts and they're not scorpions, but they look like locusts and scorpion, like a hybrid of a locust and a scorpion. But when you read it should not hurt the grass of the earth. So they weren't locusts, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men that have not the seal of Jehovah. And what is the seal of Jehovah? That is his name in their foreheads. And to him it was that they should not kill him, but that they should be tormented for 5 months. And their torment was like the torment of a scorpion when he strikes a man. Then he goes on to show that the shapes of the locusts were like horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were similar to a gold crown, and their faces were as the faces of men, and they had hair as the hair of women. Or when the blades are spinning up above, it maybe looks like hair, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions, and still to this day, but mostly they're using, what do you call that thing? The warthog with the teeth of lions, but they still have on their helicopters, on their Apache helicopters and other helicopters, attack helicopters, some of them still have the teeth on them. I've showed you this many times before, and they had breastplates that were similar to breastplates of iron. Scorpions and locusts don't have breastplates that look like iron. Helicopters do. And the sound of their wings was the sounds of chariots of many horses running into battle. Well, the helicopter sounds exactly like that. So it's obvious and it had tails like a scorpion. Check. So does a helicopter. And not a sting in their tail. It was a sharp point on their tail. Check. Oh, and by the way, so do the, what do you call that thing? The A-10 Warthog also has the sharp points on their tail. And their power was to hurt men 5 months. And they had a king over them, which is the messenger of the Abyssos. What is the messenger of the abyss? I will show you what the messenger of the abyss. This guy. The Christ of the Abyss refers to one of 3 bronze statues of Jesus Christ created by sculptor Guido Galletti. The original statue was placed in the Mediterranean Sea off of Italy in 1954. There it is, right there. That's the messenger of the abyss. Jesus. All right? Whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue his name is Apollyon. Now, Apollinaris was one of the legions that Rome used to destroy Jerusalem. You may not know this. And then the 6th messenger sounded his shofar, and I heard the voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar which is before Elohim, saying to the 6th messenger which had a shofar, loose the 4 messengers which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the 4 messengers were loosed, which were prepared for an hour, a day, a month, and a year, for to slay a whole third of men. The only thing that's going to do that would be could do that would be either by the hand of Jehovah himself, or, but it says right here, these are armies that do this. A number of the army of the horsemen were 2, not 200, but 10,000. 10,000. I don't know what that means in Greek. And I heard the number of them, and I saw the horses in the vision, and that which sat on them. It does not say that them that sat on them. It just says that which was seated on them, having breastplates of fire, of jacinth and brimstone. Right here, Yars ICBM. All right. That's it right there. That is on his breastplate, a breastplate of iron, and on his breastplate was the colors of fire, yellow, red, brimstone, yellow, jacinth, yellow, orange, and black, or yellow and black, or orange and black. So clearly it's describing Russian mobile ICBMs here. And the heads of the horses were as the heads of lion, and out of their mouth issued fire and smoke and brimstone. And by these three were a third part of men killed, and by the smoke, by the brimstone which issued out of their mouth. Because the smoke was radioactive. That's why. For their power is in their mouth and in their tails. Yep. The mouth, the tail sets in the mouth until the tail is raised up. So yes, the power is in their mouth and in their tails. Those of you, you can see it right there. That's the mouth right there that it sets in. And the tail raises up, so on and so forth. Now, see, here's the thing. But Paul said, when they shall say peace and safety. Well, the reason why they're saying peace and safety is because they've been at war. When they shall say peace and safety, they're going to figure it out. They're going to figure out a way to avert nuclear war. And then the hand of Jehovah drops a load of meteorites from the sky into the Mediterranean Sea. Five months later, according to this, the great nuclear exchange begins. So what I'm telling you is keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, and be ready. You're going to need around 2 years food supply. And if you say, what do you mean by that? Here's what I mean. Matityahu, not Matthew, 25, I believe. The kingdom of heaven shall be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. And the 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. Those that were foolish took their lamps, but took no oil with them. They just had their lamp with the oil in the lamp. Well, one way to look at it is they just had food in the refrigerator. Maybe even in a freezer. That's it. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. And while the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept, and at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom comes, go you out to meet him. Now, who makes the cry? It is the 2 witnesses. I pointed this out many, many times. Please watch my videos or do your own studying. I would strongly recommend you do your own studying, but study correctly. Go you out to meet them. And then all the virgins rose up and trimmed their lamps, and the foolish said unto the wise, Give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. We have run out of supplies. Come on, folks. Even IQ of 70 will understand what this means. This is not difficult to understand. But the wise said, Never, never, ever, lest there be not enough for us and you, but go you to them that sell and buy for yourselves. We only have enough for ourselves. Why are you not ready? That new iPhone 17 got your eye? Do you want to spend that money? Or how about the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max? You want to spend your money on that? Well, the amount of money that you spend on the iPhone 17, 17 Pro, or 17 Pro Max will probably be enough to buy enough beans and rice to feed you and your entire family for 2+ years. I suggest that you get your priorities straight and watch this video if you have time from the enforcer. At first, it might be the first. All right, here we go. So the first 6 or 7 minutes is nothing but war music, okay? Just so you know. But these guys are providing some very, very seriously interesting information, and I encourage everyone to take what is coming in the future very seriously. Some of us will not survive before all Israel is gathered back in. Prepare yourselves.